Hello everyone, and welcome back after a little bit of break when I was developing mostly multiplayer mode. So it's gonna be very exciting because today I will show some impressive things what I managed to do here. So let's go ahead and get started. Firstly, I will start in this video just show how multiplayer works and how you can run multiplayer mode in the game. So to do that, we need two windows. One window I will run through here, and another window I will compile a Mac version of game, and I will run through there. To compile it, let's go File, Build Settings, and I have added here something, so I can just delete and add my new scene and click Build. And I will just save it as Mac, save, replace, and when it builds a new client and it builds this program from which I am starting the game. So it's relatively fast when it's not web player or something else. And here is the file. Just double click it, and it asks which resolution to choose. Let's say I want a little bit better. I usually work with the lowest one, but I guess for the quality of video it might be better to choose a bit bigger resolutions. So here I started. It's still a little bit. So here I started it. It's still window is not very high, not very big. So to go to multiplayer, I need to go to options and choose multiplayer, and then as I'm starting up, I want to start a host. So this is basically overwriting a standard LAN HUD menu. So it's a separate thing. So it's in-game menu, which is beneath options and multiplayer button. So I click LAN host and it spawns host. So now I can close it up as I'm in multiplayer mode here. Now let's go here. Here I will launch my client. So to launch a client, I click run, and options, multiplayer, and now I need to click this one, because if I will click this one, I have already host. So I want to connect to client, so I click here, and it successfully connected. There are no errors, of course, because I checked it, and I can close up these menus. So what is actually multiplayer game? Multiplayer game is when you're playing on one client and somebody else is playing here. Now I don't have this somebody else, so I will control both windows to represent how multiplayer actually works. But in real life it would happen that one player is controlling this game and another player is controlling this one. So if I am here and I want to start up, so I just grab this castle to build up my castle somewhere. Let's say I want to build it here, and if I look right here, I see that this castle is building up. But if I starting to click, I cannot do anything because it is not my castle. And this is now my camera, and this is another player's camera. So if I move this camera, there is nothing happening here because it's another player here. Now if I want to start here, I need to build my own castle. Another player builds castle here, so I just starting up again, and here we are. So now if we jump back here, I see this player has castle here and castle there. We can also see that rotations and movement is also being synced through the network. It means that movement is synced and both clients see in both sides the correct positions and locations of these objects. So let's say I want to build up a small battle here. Let's spawn some more buildings. Let's start up with barracks. Firstly, they are deep, spawning deep from the ground. It needs a little bit fixes, but yeah. So here I have these barracks. Here I have another ones. So if I want a battle, I need some units which supposed to be battling up. So let's go ahead and spawn some units. Let's say 3 units here and 3 units there. I spawning archers at the moment, and I can see immediately that his archers are appearing here and my archers are appearing here. So so when it will finish spawning, I will probably need to make a wall. Now how I can make a wall? Because now it is peace, nobody is attacking anybody. If I go close to here, I can see that nobody is attacking me. So to make sure that there is a war, I need to change diplomacy to make sure that my units would fight this nation, because there are 2 nations now. This nation is controlled by this player and this nation is controlled by this player. To see nations, I need to go to diplomacy, and I can see immediately that there are 2 nations here. The same is for this side. I can see both 2 nations here. So now this one, I can check what is that. It is a client. Host spawns first, client spawns second. So if I am a client, I am probably the second nation. So I'm this nation, and this is host. So at the moment it is at this stage, but later I am planning to remove self nation, because you don't need to deal with yourself. You only want to deal with other nations. So let's go ahead and click on this nation and choose that it would be a war. Prepare to die. And immediately we see that units are starting to attack each other. Now I can see that the health is being reduced from these unit arrows. Here we can see also that damage is being applied So damage is transmitted successfully through the network as well. Units also can work. For example, if I move it here, I can see that it moves there, and so on. So yes, it's being transmitted, both things, transform and health. There are currently some issues I see with some animations. Sometimes they are playing. I may need to check a little bit more in details that they are sometimes playing incorrectly, or modes are switching not correctly, but yes. So the next thing, okay, so we've seen that that transform and health is being synced through the network. So it means that we have some basic multiplayer which can be set on LAN, and that basically covers the first part. But now the big point is how many units I can actually control, because I know that through the network it's quite heavy to control large number of units, but let's say I want to check this out. So to do that, spawning here is very slow, so I just implemented so-called cheats or god mode. Here I have cheats game object, and if I change this one to 1, it will be set to be playing in god mode, which means that I can spawn units much faster, and I can see much faster how things are going on. So let's go ahead and recompile it again. Add, build, save, replace. Okay, so now it will be everything in cheat mode. So it has been compiled successfully, and let's launch the same configuration, and I want this one this time. Window add, play, and let's start to play it here as well. Okay, options, multiplayer, LAN host, options, multiplayer, LAN client. Now let's bring a little bit more resources to make sure that I have enough resources to build large number of units, and let's start doing things up. We can see that it's spawning much faster, because it's about scripts are running about 10 times faster with 10 times smaller time steps. So let's go ahead and build it up everywhere. Okay, let's build barracks fast as it's supposed to be. And now let's spawn a very large number of units. I will go with 254. I can see immediately that they are starting to spawn. 254. Okay, 253. So now we can see that it's not very laggy, but I can see frame rates, it's still quite high, and here it's probably a bit lower because it's editor and it's spawning. I guess spawning is taking a little bit of resources. So now we will have quite a large battle here when units will finish spawning. So almost 200. And and let's what is that? Oh, I still have pretty large frame rates even there, 500 units, but they are doing nothing and it still runs on very high frame rates. And here also it's finished spawning, so it's over 500, but in editor it's a bit slower, so it's about 50 FPS. So let's go ahead and start a battle. Diplomacy. Now here is a client, so this one, prepare to die. And I see immediately that the war is starting up in this side and in this side. And I can see that these units are moving there and these units are moving here. So it's very nicely synced, and arrows are flowing very nicely. However, units are these archer units are quite heavy, so I want to see only on sprites, and I don't see any errors. It means that system works stable, and units are dying, and the entire system is working nicely. So let's go ahead, and I want to go a little bit below this thing to see everything closer. Now, as I have a lot of models instead of sprites being rendered, I can see that I can see that FPS is going down a little bit, but yes, but basically that's it. That means that battles are stable in multiplayer mode, and that's very interesting point, because not a lot of games are working well, especially in real-time strategy, where you have a very large number of units. And of course here it's local network, but it's working. It's the key that it is working. and it's working correctly. I see that units are distributed correctly, rotations and positions are synchronized, and attacking targets are assigned also correctly. So things seems to be working correctly, and I guess we can just check what's going on and keep playing with these things, and so on. So basically it was a very big implementation of this multiplayer mode, because it covers most of things in a completely new scripting stuff, because I needed to re-implement many scripts which would be using multiplayer mode, and that was quite a lot of work. This is why it took a little bit of time. Oh, I forgot to show one thing, which was that diplomacy is also being, I also made diplomacy to be working, and messages, basically I can send messages from one player to another. Oh, it's very low resolution. I will start up this time a little bit bigger. This one. Let's start up here. And okay, host. Client. It's a little bit laggy somehow. Maybe resolutions are not working or something. Something doesn't like it. Okay, so basically, if I spawn, let's say I spawn here, one castle, another. Let's quickly remake the situation a little bit similar. Okay. Okay. So here we have a little bit of units, maybe a little bit more. It's very small number. And now what I want to show is, okay, what I want to show is that I can send diplomacy commands through the network. Now here is a client this time, yes? So if I click here, prepare to die, we know that there will be a war, yes, in both sides. And if I look at diplomacy, I see a war with this nation, and here I see a war with this nation. This is what it's supposed to be. Now I can send an offer if I am unhappy with a war and I want a peace. I can send to other player, let's join alliance. And now if I switch here, there comes this command, let's join the alliance, and now I have the answer. I can decide For example, I can say let it be. If I click here, it says let it be, the message comes back, the war stops, and the alliance is being set. So in both sides alliance is being set. Now I can break the alliance again. We are breaking the alliance. Breaking doesn't mean that war will start, it means that we will have no relations. It means that we will be like other times, like peace. So break the alliance, message comes back, and we have a standard situation. And again we can start the war again, and again the fight will begin. As we can see, units are fighting, the war is ongoing, and again we can, let's join the alliance, and I need to confirm here. If I will click this one, nothing happens. It says I will think. It means that this player doesn't accept. I need to send probably again. Where was that? Again. Let's join the alliance. Let it be. Good. The war is over. And yes, and that's basically it. So I covered a large area of implemented multiplayer stuff in terms of real-time strategy games. There are a lot of more stuff to be covered, including how I am setting everything here in Inspector, what prefabs I am making, what is the structure of multiplayer, but that will be in another video. So I'm glad I covered this topic, and I hope you will like this a lot, because it requires a lot of time to implement multiplayer mode. And this is basically, multiplayer mode is very important, because today when we have internet, when we have friends, when we have connections, and the world is so much dependent on internet, there is always some kind of a good stuff to have multiplayer. And actually the real gameplay is starting when you're playing with your friends, not alone. So I hope you liked it, and see you next time. And I click run, and options, multiplayer, and now I need to click this one, because if I will click this one, I have already host. So I want to connect to client, so I click here, and it successfully connected. There are no errors, of course, because I checked it, and I can close up these menus. So what is actually multiplayer game? Multiplayer game is when you're playing on one client and somebody else is playing here. Now I don't have this somebody else, so I will control both windows to represent how multiplayer actually works. But in real life it would happen that one player... Hello everyone, and welcome back after a little bit of break when I was developing mostly multiplayer mode. So it's gonna be very exciting, because today I will show some impressive things what I managed to do here. So let's go ahead and get started. Firstly, I will start in this video just show how multiplayer works and how you can run multiplayer mode in the game. So to do that, we need two windows. One window I will run through here, and another window I will compile a Mac version multiplayer, and then as I'm starting up, I want to start a host. So this is basically overwriting a standard LAN HUD menu. So it's a separate thing. So it's in-game menu, which is beneath options and multiplayer button. So I click LAN host and it spawns host. So now I can close it up as I'm in multiplayer mode here. Now let's go here. Here I will launch my client. So to launch a client, and here is the file. Just double click it, and it asks which resolution to choose. Let's say I want a little bit better. I usually work with the lowest one, but I guess for the quality of video it might be better to choose a bit bigger resolutions. So here I started. Oh, it's still a little bit. Yeah, so here I started it. It's still window is not very high, not very big. So to go to multiplayer, I need to go to options and choose of game, and I will run through there. To compile it, let's go File, Build Settings, and I have added here something, so I can just delete and add my new scene and click Build. And I will just save it as Mac, save, replace, and when it builds a new client and it builds this program from which I am starting the game. So it's relatively fast when it's not web player or something